Morning came slowly over the canyon, painting the red rocks with soft gold light. Captain Alex stirred, feeling the cool breeze on his face. The tribe was already moving, their graceful steps careful but deliberate as they tended to their small camp. Lyra appeared first, smiling faintly at him before darting away toward the other women. Her movements were quick, precise, yet full of a strange elegance. Alex realized he was witnessing a society that moved with purpose and unity, unlike anything he had seen before. He rose and stretched, keeping his voice calm as he greeted the women with a simple wave. Some nodded in return, others watched cautiously, their large eyes alert. The tribe's leader approached him again, holding a flat wooden tablet etched with patterns. She pointed to it, then to him, then to herself. Alex understood they were inviting him to follow. Curiosity mixed with caution as he complied, walking behind the group toward a hidden valley he had not noticed before. The valley opened into a breathtaking scene. Lush greenery stretched far and wide, contrasting sharply with the red rocks surrounding it. Pools of water glimmered with soft blue light, reflecting alien plants that shimmered in shades of purple, gold, and silver. Birds, or creatures that resembled birds, fluttered above, their calls melodic yet unfamiliar. Alex could barely believe his eyes. This place was a hidden paradise, a sanctuary that seemed untouched by the harsh desert beyond. The women guided him through the valley with a mixture of patience and precision. Alex noticed the hierarchy within the group. Some women carried small bundles while others moved weapons across their shoulders. Their movements were synchronized, almost ceremonial yet practical. They were teaching him, showing him the rhythm of their world without saying a word. At the center of the valley was a circular settlement, built around a large crystalline structure that pulsed faintly, casting soft light over the area. The tribe gathered there, forming a circle, and Alex understood that he had been brought to the heart of their community. The leader gestured for him to sit. Hesitant but trusting, he did so. Time passed in a strange but comfortable rhythm. Alex learned through observation and small gestures. The tribe shared food, though different from anything he had tasted. Fruit-like pods that were soft and sweet, liquids that sparkled in the sunlight. He offered some of his own supplies, showing them the purpose of each item. The women studied him carefully, sometimes mimicking his actions, their curiosity bright but respectful. It became clear that Lyra was more than a child to the tribe. She was the daughter of the leader, the next in line to guide and protect their people. Alex's role was unique. Saving her had earned him trust, respect, and even a tentative place among them. Every glance he received, every gesture of acknowledgement, reinforced the weight of his actions. This was not merely gratitude. It was recognition of something rare and valuable. Humanity, in its courage and instinct to protect, had earned a place in their world. But the valley was not entirely safe. Alex noticed movement along the edges, figures that did not belong to the tribe. Rival groups drawn by curiosity or perhaps greed watched from a distance. They had likely heard of a human among the tribe and recognized the unusual danger in that. Alex felt a surge of responsibility. He could not allow harm to come to Lyra, her people, or the fragile trust he had built. He began preparing. Using his knowledge of traps, terrain, and basic strategy, Alex devised simple but effective defenses. He positioned rocks and branches to create alarms, marked paths that could slow intruders, and used reflective surfaces to signal warnings. The tribe watched him silently, their understanding growing. Though they had lived in this valley for generations, the human mind brought ideas they had never considered. The first attack came at dusk. Shadows slipped through the outer edges of the valley, moving with intent. Alex spotted them immediately and signaled the tribe. Together they acted with precision. Women moved silently, cutting off roots and guiding the invaders into areas where Alex had prepared traps. Small nets, weighted stones, and natural pitfalls created confusion and delay. Alex fought alongside them, his movements informed by instinct and training. He realized something profound. Humans could adapt, improvise, and think in ways that even advanced alien species might not anticipate. The invaders, unfamiliar with the terrain and unaware of the traps, faltered again and again. Lyra's tribe moved like a well-oiled machine, but Alex's interventions gave them an edge that turned the tide in their favor. When the threat finally retreated, the tribe gathered around him. Their eyes held awe, not only for his bravery but for the way he had combined human ingenuity with their own traditions. Lyra ran to him, her small arms wrapping around his leg in gratitude. Alex knelt, careful not to overpower her embrace. He realized that in saving her, he had forged bonds that were deeper than simple friendship or gratitude. He had become a protector, a warrior whose humanity carried weight far beyond the confines of Earth. Over the following days, Alex continued learning. He observed their methods of farming, hunting, and caring for the young. He shared ideas, showing improvements in shelter construction, water storage, and defensive techniques. Every day, the bond between human and tribe grew stronger. Lyra followed him everywhere, her curiosity insatiable, her trust unwavering. The tribe's respect for him became evident in small gestures. The leader offering him the first share of food, women letting him enter areas usually reserved for elders, children watching him with admiration. Alex also learned the subtleties of their culture. The glowing blue patterns on their skin were not only aesthetic, they signified emotion, social status, and health. Touching in certain ways was a sign of trust, while gestures could convey complex messages that even speech could not. Alex adapted quickly, observing and mimicking, learning to communicate without words. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the valley, the tribe gathered for a ceremonial celebration. Lyra stood beside her mother, watching Alex with eyes wide and hopeful. The leader approached him, offering a simple, glowing crystal. Alex accepted it, understanding that it symbolized more than gratitude. It was an invitation, a recognition of his place among them. During the ceremony, Alex realized the true meaning of what he had done. Saving Lyra had not only prevented harm to a single life, it had bridged species, created trust, and reshaped relationships that could influence generations. Humanity's strengths, compassion, courage, ingenuity had earned him a unique role. He was a symbol not of dominance but of cooperation, showing that even in a universe filled with danger, life could connect in ways that transcended language, species, and culture. As the night deepened, Alex stood at the edge of the valley, looking out over the cliffs and distant deserts. The wind carried the faint sounds of the tribe's celebration, rhythmic and melodic. Lyra approached, placing her small hand on his arm. No words were needed. The gesture said everything: trust, gratitude, and a bond that would endure. Alex understood then that he had changed, not because he had faced danger, but because he had acted with empathy and courage. These qualities, so ordinary on Earth, had extraordinary power here. They had won the respect of a tribe, defended a hidden world, and proven that humanity could shine even among the stars. The rival groups had retreated for now, but Alex knew they might return. Yet he felt confident. He was not alone. Lyra, the tribe, and the lessons he had learned would guide him. And he knew that wherever he went, whatever challenges came next, the human spirit, the willingness to act, to protect, to understand, would always make a difference. The twin moons reflected in the water pools, casting soft light over the valley. Alex took a deep breath, feeling a sense of peace and purpose. He had come to this planet as an explorer, a lone human far from home, but through courage, kindness, and trust, he had found something greater, a connection to a people who valued life, bravery, and empathy, and a place where humanity had left an undeniable mark. As he looked at Lyra and the tribe dancing around the fire, Alex realized that he would never forget this moment. A simple act of saving a life had changed everything. It had built bridges, forged friendships, and shown that even one human could make a difference in a universe full of unknowns. And so, under the light of the twin moons, Alex stood proud. He was no longer just a human far from home. He was a protector, a friend, and a living proof that humanity, with all its imperfections, could inspire, connect, and triumph, even on a world far beyond Earth. Captain Alex crouched behind a jagged rock, his eyes scanning the red-hued canyon walls. The planet's wind howled, whipping sand across the rough terrain. He had been exploring this uncharted world for nearly a week, mapping out valleys, cliffs, and underground caves for the research team back on Earth. Every step he took was cautious. This planet was unpredictable, and he had learned quickly that danger often hid in plain sight. A faint sound broke the rhythm of the wind. It was soft at first, almost drowned out by the storm brewing in the distance. Then it came again, a whimper like the cries of a frightened child. Alex froze. He had learned to trust his instincts. Something alive and very vulnerable was nearby. Slowly, he followed the sound, moving carefully over uneven rocks, avoiding loose stones that might betray his presence. The cries led him to a small crevice, partially blocked by a pile of jagged rocks. There, lying half-buried, was a young alien girl. Her skin glimmered with soft blue patterns that pulsed faintly, as if reflecting her heartbeat. Her eyes were enormous, dark, and shimmering with tears, staring at Alex with a mixture of fear and hope. Without hesitation, Alex dropped his pack and began moving the rocks. It took effort, but he lifted enough debris to free her. The girl gasped, her small body trembling. She tried to speak, but no words came, only sounds he could not understand. She flinched at the movement of his hands, but Alex kept his voice calm, speaking softly, letting her know he meant no harm. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said gently. "You're safe now." The girl tilted her head, studying him. Slowly, she reached out with a delicate hand, brushing his arm in what seemed like a gesture of thanks. Alex nodded and took out a small medical kit from his pack. Using antiseptic wipes, he cleaned the minor cuts and scrapes on her arms and legs. He didn't know what species she was, but he could see the signs of shock and dehydration. As he worked, the wind outside picked up. Dark clouds of red dust began swirling in the canyon, creating a harsh, blinding storm. Alex realized they had little time. Carefully, he lifted the girl into his arms. Despite her light weight, her trembling and panic made the task challenging. He moved quickly but carefully, seeking shelter from the raging sandstorm. A few 100 meters away, he spotted a cave partially hidden behind a rocky outcrop. The storm would make it nearly invisible from a distance. He hurried toward it, his boots slipping slightly on loose stones. The girl clung to him, her small arms wrapped tightly around his neck, and he could feel her fear like a pulse against his chest. Inside the cave, Alex set her down gently. He tore strips from his own shirt to make a bandage for a deeper cut on her leg. The girl's breathing slowed as she realized she was safe. She watched him carefully, her large eyes flicking from his face to the makeshift bandage. Then slowly she placed her hand over his in a gesture that needed no words. Trust. The hours passed, and the storm outside raged on. Alex shared some of his food rations, carefully breaking pieces and placing them near her. She hesitated at first, unsure what to do, but hunger won over caution. Watching her eat, he felt a strange sense of connection. Here was a creature completely different from himself, yet alive and fragile, dependent on his actions. Night fell, and the temperature dropped sharply. Alex wrapped a thermal blanket around them both, using his body to shield her from the cold. He thought about the mission, the research, and the countless unknown dangers of this world. None of that mattered now. What mattered was keeping her alive. By dawn, the storm had passed. The canyon was quiet again, the red dust settling like a soft blanket over the rocks. The girl, now standing on unsteady legs, brushed the dirt from her skin. She looked at Alex, then gestured toward the canyon. He understood. She wanted to return to her people. Alex nodded, keeping his tone calm. "You can go. I'll be okay." The girl stepped forward but paused, turning back to him. She touched his arm lightly, a gesture that felt like a promise and a thank you combined. Then, before he could speak again, she darted into the canyon, disappearing into the rocks. Alex watched her go, a strange emptiness settling in his chest. Saving her had been instinct, but letting her go felt like losing something he didn't fully understand yet. He spent the next day exploring cautiously, keeping an eye out for any signs of the girl or her people. That evening, while resting near a small outcrop, movement caught his eye. A group of figures appeared at the edge of a forest clearing in the canyon. A group of women, tall, graceful, and adorned with tribal markings similar to the patterns on the girl's skin. They carried weapons, but their posture was not aggressive. Instead, their eyes were curious, cautious, and observant. Alex instinctively raised his hands, showing he meant no harm. The leader, distinguishable by her elaborate markings and slightly taller frame, stepped forward. She extended her hand in a slow, deliberate gesture that seemed both formal and respectful. Alex lowered his guard slightly, studying them. Through gestures and shared glances, he realized they were Lyra's tribe. They had come not for revenge or hostility, but to see the human who had saved their young one. Their leader moved closer, presenting gifts, crystals that glowed faintly, bundles of herbs, and intricately carved trinkets. Alex accepted them, bowing slightly in respect, understanding the importance of this silent ritual. The women communicated in a combination of gestures and sounds that Alex could not understand, but their meaning was clear. They were expressing gratitude, respect, and perhaps curiosity. Alex realized that his small act of kindness had forged a connection far beyond what he could have imagined. He had entered a world with rules he didn't yet understand, and his actions had weight here, carrying consequences he could not predict. Over the next few hours, Alex shared simple gestures of his own, showing them his med kit, sharing some of his food, and demonstrating his tools. The women watched carefully, sometimes mimicking his movements, learning and understanding. It was a silent exchange, a bridge between species built on trust and mutual respect. One moment stood out. Lyra's mother, or perhaps the tribe's leader, touched Alex's arm gently, her fingers lingering in a sign of trust and acknowledgement. Alex felt a warmth he had not expected, a connection that went beyond words or culture. Here was a society bound by tradition and survival, and he, a human far from home, had earned their respect. As night approached, the tribe set up camp near his temporary shelter. Alex helped where he could, offering advice on simple structures to keep out the cold and the predators of the night. Though he could not communicate fully with words, his presence became a symbol of safety and intelligence, a reminder that humans could bring something unique to the universe. Sitting by the fire, Alex watched the women move gracefully, their blue markings glowing faintly in the firelight. Lyra appeared briefly, smiling at him before disappearing into the shadows of the camp. He realized that saving her was only the beginning. By helping her, he had woven himself into the fabric of this alien world. There were rules he did not yet know, expectations he could not yet meet, and dangers he could not yet foresee. But one thing was certain: his humanity, the courage, compassion, and instinct to help had made a difference. And in a universe full of unknowns, that difference mattered more than he could have imagined. As he settled down for the night, surrounded by the tribe he barely knew but already respected, Alex understood something vital. Saving one life could ripple across worlds, changing destinies, forging alliances, and building bridges between species. He had saved Lyra, but in doing so, he had become a part of something far greater, a story of trust, courage, and the undeniable power of humanity. The stars above shone brightly through the clearing, and Alex felt a quiet resolve. Tomorrow he would begin learning more about this tribe, their customs, and their world. But tonight he simply sat, a human among aliens, connected not by language or technology, but by a shared understanding that life, any life, was precious. And somewhere deep in the canyon, the girl he had saved slept safely, surrounded by her people, carrying with her the memory of the human who had risked everything to save her.